Hey everybody, hope you're having an amazing Friday. I'm actually wearing this earpiece right here to see how my sound sounds, and I hear some crackling right now, so I'm glad I'm checking on this. Let's take this off. All right, hopefully that's a little bit better. So we'll start over from here. Hope everyone's having a great Friday. Today we're here to talk about the Canon R50, which we've got right here. And we're going to talk about what the biggest problem with this camera is, because overall, it's a relatively great camera, especially for the price, for what Canon has put in here with the 4K offering, the 10-bit HDR PQ modes. It's fantastic. But there's one unwritten, kind of heavily spoken about issue with this camera that hopefully Canon comes to fix soon. And that's the fact that lens compatibility. There just aren't that many lenses that work with a camera this small. Let me give you an example right here. So let me put this earpiece out of my ear so I'm not hearing myself the whole time. If you guys hear any crackling in the audio, this is one of my first streams with the A10 Mini Pro. So let me know in the comments below if you can hear me 5x5. But so here's an example of a really small lens that can be used with the EOS R50. And here's the other one. These are pretty much the only two small lenses made by Canon available that work on this camera. Now, the 16, they're both full frame. And the 16 mil doesn't have the best optical quality, but it is the widest small lens you can get by Canon. And then the 50 mil does have pretty decent optical quality, but the main issue is going to be the autofocus isn't as good as a lot of the more modern lenses. It seems like it's almost a rebadged version of the old STM 50. So between these two lenses and the kit lens available for, or the 3 kit lenses now available for the RFS line, there really are not a lot of options. And the biggest problem is you basically are forced to adapt lenses, which means you're not getting super small lenses like this. You're basically stuck, if you want to get really good image quality, of using setups like this, and literally like this, having to use some kind of EFS lens or EF lens that is made for a crop censored camera. And then you also have to use this adapter, which you don't have to use this VND adapter like I'm using, but you will have to use an adapter. So the issue with Canon coming out with this camera at such an affordable price point is that there aren't lenses available for it. There only is, at this point in time, there's one approved third-party lens manufacturer that are making lenses for the Canon RF ecosystem. As you can see right here, I have the Surrey, and this is actually a Super 35 lens, but it's completely manual. So you don't get to use the beautiful, wonderful autofocus system that Canon included with the R50 because it's a fully manual lens. It's also not officially approved by Canon, but I have this lens specifically for my RED Komodo, and it's fun that I can actually put it on a camera like the R50. I'll be doing a video on that soon because I'm excited to see how this setup pairs. But that is an issue that's ongoing with the audio is crackling. Okay, so let's go. Thank you, Fred. Let's go back to here. So that's going to be an issue. Now, for those of you who are here live, this may be something that I end up taking down as for whatever reason, I'm having issues specifically. Thank you, Fred. I'm having issues specifically with my A10 Mini Pro in StreamYard. I've been doing a bunch of videos using the A10 Mini Pro. I know this is a tangent, but I've been doing a bunch of videos using the A10 Mini Pro, and I have not had issues recording internally to the hard drive when I attach it. But I'm having issues no matter what kind of audio system I'm using going into the A10 Mini, whether it's audio going directly into the camera, whether it's audio using my Rodecaster Pro going into here. It just seems like I have issues, and in the back end, I basically have to switch back and forth between echo cancellation and non-echo cancellation, and then the crackling comes back. I can't really sort it out. I know Scott Balcom seemed to be having that issue for a long time, and I think he just abandoned StreamYard because StreamYard tended to be the issue. So I will say right here, I do think StreamYard's the issue with this crackling audio, and I don't think I'm going to stick with this this platform much longer. I have a few other options that I can move to. Which stinks. I really like StreamYard, and this is not the goal of today's podcast. But yeah, StreamYard's starting to lack in a few different areas, and the audio is definitely one of them. But back to the topic of today's podcast. Hopefully, Canon can come out or at least start approving third-party lenses, because when you have companies like Sigma, let's see, do I have this? I do have the Sigma lens. So Sigma makes great lenses for other brands. This, for instance, is Sigma's 18 to 50, which is a fantastic crop censored lens. It pretty much has very similar image quality to the 24 to 70 I've used from Sigma. However, in a much, much smaller form factor. I mean, look at this and look at this. This is a Sigma lens as well. I mean, look at the size comparison. And that's really what we have that's what we have to look forward to from Canon, is the fact eventually they're going to have to let companies come out with third-party lenses. They just cannot keep up with the demand, which kind of baffles me on. We knew that the R50 was coming. It's a great camera. I'm loving doing content on it right now. But there's just not enough lenses from Canon, and I don't think there's enough resources for them to put out lenses at the pace that they need to. So this becomes one of those things where Canon, even though you're starting to approve third-party lens manufacturing or third-party companies making lenses for your ecosystem, you got to do it at a faster rate. You have companies like Sigma who already have lenses available for other systems that they can literally just change some of the electronics, change the mount, and voila. I mean, Sigma's trio of the 16, the 30 mil, and the 56 mil are fantastic on many other lens systems. They even make that trio for the basically EFM system. So it's time that you guys start doing that, because when you're coming out with cameras like this M50 or M50, I'm calling it the M50. When you come out with cameras like this R50, you need to have the lenses available, because your kit lenses are okay. They're not that great. So that all being said, that is the goal of today's podcast. It's a short one where, for the most part, I've really enjoyed using the R50. It's absolutely fantastic. But when I'm forced to use it, and this is going to be for the video podcasters, listeners or watchers that are here now, when you're using this camera, even a setup with this lens is a little big for the size and weight of this camera body right here. This is one of the smallest and lightest camera bodies I have ever used. Pretty much period. It's smaller, and it's a little bit smaller than my FX30 if you look at the overall proportions. Definitely lighter than my FX30. Audio is breaking hard. Yeah, this is going to be one that does not stay out, guys. Let's go back to the. I know this is going to fix the audio, but this is not a long-term solution. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm probably going to break this session. Probably come back and do another proper podcast episode of this next week, because I don't really understand what is going on with StreamYard. I'll probably end up having to use my new the new service that I'm going to move to. It always stinks to do these. 9 minutes in, have to keep switching the audio. But I do want to thank those of you who joined me live for today's video. Yeah, I'm gonna end up unlisting this in a second, but thank you for sticking with me and kind of joining me for this little experiment on the A10 Mini, and hopefully I can get this sorted out soon. So I will catch you guys in a future video. Stay tuned. A lot of R50 content coming out in the next few days, so bear with me. Bye, guys.